today's we keep talking about all the things going on, from the food stamps thing to the safety to the fact of persecution. All those details we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how Nigeria is not getting looked upon. It's amazing how we can send, boats and Greta Thunberg and the UN, all these people to Palestine and all this help. However, Nigeria is slaughtering Christians and we're doing nothing about it. We're going to discuss that today, and the numbers are astounding. More than anywhere else right now in the world is happening in Nigeria. We're going to discuss that and why we're not trying to do something about that like we're trying to do every other thing in the world. Now, what about this immigration situation with food stamps? You're going to be blown away at what the food programs, the fact that so many Americans, 1 of every 8 Americans are on food stamps. Now, I don't want to look down upon anyone that's on food stamps. Things happen, life happens, that's okay. The reality of it is this though. The majority of people taking food stamps are actually people that were not native and born here. Also, if we took the people that were immigrated here for visas, for all these other ways of taking our jobs, would we see as many people on food stamps because they would not be unemployed? Wait till you hear the numbers coming out of colleges and also the workforce. And we blame it on AI, but we may want to look at immigration too. This is a big deal. We'll discuss that. And then that kind of goes along with what Mamdani's father just said about America. If we allow for people to come to America and absolutely spit on America and derogatorily, disparage living in America and how America is so bad, then why are these people moving here? We'll discuss what he said, because it should wake you up that this guy is supposed to be the leader of the biggest city in America, and that impacts you because that's the biggest financial hub in the United States. This is unbelievable. And then lastly, we're going to discuss wins. Trump gets major wins. What we don't realize is like the deal that's happening right now in the Pacific. Everybody's kind of washing over it. Wait till you hear some of these wins he's got. Also, the Argentina deal. I told you that, I don't like helping other countries, but I do think this was a good deal. And I'll tell you why. Because remember, when you buy something when it's worthless and all of a sudden it goes up in value, that means what? It appreciated and you made a lot of money. I think we're going to realize this investment in Argentina is going to be worth a lot of money. Let's dive into these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today on this beautiful, beautiful day. I hope that you are, of course, loving your family, not taking them for granted, and understanding that we live in a crazy world. But if we focus on common sense, wisdom, and loving our family, I promise you it will be okay. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about Nigeria and why this is important. Now you have 2 congressmen. Sadly, you only have 2 congressmen talking about it, trying to push the Secretary of State and also this administration to go towards it. Now, have you heard anything from the UN? Have you heard anything? Does Greta Thunberg have a ship or a little dinghy boat going to Nigeria yet? Do we see that Mehdi Hassan and all these liberal activists, do we see Bernie Sanders and AOC, do we see them talking about Nigeria? No, we don't, do we? Because it doesn't fit their narrative. Because it's the persecution of Christians, which doesn't really affect them. They could care less. And again, it's not Israel doing it, it's Muslims doing it. So we don't want to talk about that. Let's listen to the numbers of what's happening. And again, every Christian church should be talking about this and saying, look, we don't vote for people in political office if they're not going to help these kind of people. We're not talking about going down there and spending 20 or 30 years. We're going there and taking the persecution away or making such sanctions on Nigeria where they can't even operate. Listen to these numbers. Every day in Nigeria, hundreds of Christians are getting killed in their villages, burned by Islamists. Yet no one talks about it because it does not fit the narrative of what's going on. It says there is upwards of 125,000 deaths that have taken place. And yet, no one is talking about it. Why? Because it's Muslims versus Christians. It's not the Jewish state. It's not the conservatives. What it is this is a ideology that is destroying the West, that is showing exactly what they're willing to do in the name of their religion. And we're allowing that to happen in the United States. You don't believe me? Listen to what Zohran Mamdani's father just said. He was interviewed and asked a question. I want you to listen to what he said. This is Zohar Memdani's father. Rich Ugandan African man who come here to basically exploit America's riches and to raise his family to hate America. Listen to this. America is the root of all evil and was the inspiration for German Hitler. This led to genocide, and it's all because of Abraham Lincoln. America is wrong and pure evil. Now, that guy produced Zohar Memdani. Zohar Memdani is fisting to win and be the leader of New York City. Now, he's promising free everything. Free everything. So it's going to be hard to compete against that because people are so blinded to think that they can just get free everything. I want you to listen to these numbers from New York City. This is from the last few years in New York City. 85% of the tax basis was paid by the top 18,500 people. Those same 18,500 people migrated to Florida already. Basically, since the inception of Memdani winning, they said that 18,500 people, which is the top 85% of earners, have now went to Florida. That means that, like DeSantis, that's why he's saying no property tax, because he's got an influx of cash coming in and people in his state. Now, if Zohar Memdani says he's going to tax the rich and 18,500 is already left, which is 85% of the base that was paying for New York City to make it, that means he's taxing the people that were not at the top anymore because the top moved on. So it's the next class, which is going to be, you can say upper middle class or middle class. How do you think he's going to pay for free everything? He's going to tax you. What is that going to do? It's going to cause chaos and dirty streets. It's going to cause for crime in the streets. It's going to cause theft in the streets. See, that's what they want because that shows that America has fallen. And that falls right into what this movement wants. Sadly, this is what us as Americans are so blinded. We're so non-empathetic, I guess you could say, to a point where we're like, it doesn't matter. It's not us. It's New York City. It doesn't matter if they're building a mosque in Texas. It's not here. It doesn't matter what's happening in California. I don't see it. See, we just tend to wipe it off like it's not a big deal. But then we're electing the same people that we keep electing that keep wasting our money to go to Congress and work alongside all these people to do the same old, to cause for the same demise of America. So we see the problem in Nigeria. The sad thing is we have no world going crazy over it like they were in Palestine. Go look at the interview that Tommy Robinson did. There was a lot of hatred towards him again because he was interviewing people who were on the Hamas side. But then if you went to, he went to certain people in Israel and went to certain people in Palestine. And it was the people who were not for Hamas. And guess what they said? Guess what they said? They said we would much rather live with Israel and in Israel than to live with Hamas. So the people that so-called, are the ones getting persecuted against and famine against, those people who were not Hamas, they were like, no, we would actually rather stay with Israel. We would rather be under Israel rule. Now the sad thing is, you can see brainwashedness and you can see some of those people that are going to be on the Hamas side, or you can see the people who are actually living there. But you know what? We have all this media, all this stuff going against Israel. What about the Islam in Nigeria? Nothing. But then we're allowing that same African, North African, Muslim faith that's causing problems in Nigeria. You do realize that's the same faith that's coming to America, and we're allowing it to happen. Look at the budgets and the amount of money we've given, and we've allowed to be passed to CARE and Muslim Brotherhood and all these schools. Look at what Abbott, Texas governor, he'll say, I'm against Sharia law. Look at what he's set aside. It's like $11 to $12 million in the last few years for Islamic schools in Texas. See, don't let these politicians lie to you. They are literally sleeping at the wheel and allowing this religion to take over, starting with the biggest city in America. Why are we doing this? When his father, the one who raised him, the one who teaches his child, says American is evil and is the root of all evil. It's amazing how we're so blinded and we elect people like this because they tell us they can give us stuff for free. I want you to listen to what this Cuban American just said. It was amazing. He said, I've lived in Cuba and I'm warning people, New York voters, do not go for Memdani's plan of government-run grocery stores. Again, he's been there. He said, They all show it and act like it's going to do well and it's going to provide everything for you. But just like in Cuba, we realize the government can't run anything. It says for 35 years, we lived in a life where we couldn't get beef and cheese and a lot of other things because the government didn't set it aside for us to have in the government-run grocery stores. He said we fled from communist and socialist programs that they were doing in Cuba because we saw that all these top people, the lords of the land, were getting filthy rich while we were all peasants barely making it. He says the socialists will come out and all of a sudden you're going to see food be a way that they can manipulate you. It says shopping in America is a dream. When I can go to a grocery store and get any cut of meat I want, how blessed are we? He said, because when you allow people like this socialist to take over and this communistic style leadership take over, where government has a hand in all your business, he said, go to Cuba and you'll see what it ends up being like. Why have we not learned our lesson? Let's go to this next story, and this goes along with H-1B visas, this goes along with the food, this goes along with what we're doing while we're migrating all these people here, and nothing is taking place to make it better. All right, welfare numbers by households in America. Listen to this. This is sad to me, period. But native-born Americans, 39% of American citizens in American homes are getting some form of welfare. That shows over 1/3 of Americans are getting some form of government assistance. And that breaks my heart. It does break my heart because I believe that we don't want government in our life, but because they've put themselves in our life so much, we believe that we have to have it. We've invested in it. We believe they're going to keep on giving to us, and now we've built basically a socialized program. But 39%, almost 1/3 of Americans that were born here, live here, are taking part of welfare. Now here's the thing that's dangerous. Listen to this. Your tax dollars are my tax dollars. Naturalized citizens, meaning people who were not born here, who migrated here, who we brought in and allowed citizenship. Over 50%, 52% to be exact. So more than half of those households are getting government assistance. So your money's going to people who we allowed to come here to have the American dream, but to be honest with you, they're not having the American dream. We're just buying them out and paying for their American dream. So our taxpayer system is paying for their American dream. Listen to this. This is even scarier. The non-citizens in America, the people who are not citizens, who have no value here, meaning they're not a voter, they don't pay taxes, they have no basis to be here other than Democrats letting them in. 59% of non-citizens are on welfare, that live completely off welfare. The rest is what they make if they're working little jobs here, like on visas and things like that. But other than that, 59% of them, 60% of the households, almost 2/3, are taking government assistance. So you wonder why America is in such a problem, and you wonder why the normal Americans can't make it. Well, here's the reason. Is a lot of our money is poured into people who were not born here and who does not assimilate here and that are literally here illegally. That's the 20, 30, 40 million people that we keep talking about. Listen to these numbers. This is just absolutely scary to me. There's more illegals using the welfare system than all Americans combined. So there's more Americans in America, of course, but there is more illegal immigrants and people who are not here legally, and then the people we've let in that are on our welfare system than us as Americans. So the American system is basically paying for people to be here, then using our taxpayer to make us poor, to make them have all the things that we cannot have. I want you to listen to this and you wonder why we worry about, well, Americans are not wanting to work these jobs. Well, it's Americans getting the opportunity to work these jobs. Listen to this. It says 58% of students who are graduating from high school or college are still looking for a job as of right now. So more than half of people looking for jobs. So those same 58%, see, this is what happens. Because we've allowed people to come into our country to take our jobs. Now these people don't have jobs. Now we have AI coming along that is taking a lot of jobs too. So what happens to these 58%? They end up living with their parents or getting on the government's dole too. See, this is how this works. Chaos and unrest and problems make for government to step in and actually take more control. Offering you free stuff. Well, if you're down on your luck, well, here, the government will give it to you free. Well, then all of a sudden we build a dependent mentality, and that's exactly what we've done with these immigrants. And also now, 58% of people coming out of school don't have a job. I've already told my son, if you know, my son is graduated last year. We're building him a house. His goal, though, even though I'm building a house, his goal is to act like he's paying me, even though he's not. He's putting it in an account because I want him to understand he has got to put up some money. He has got to have the job, in which he does have a job. He is in school and has a job. Now, why do I say that's good? I'm not just bragging on him. I'm saying I have to instill values in him to work. I have to instill values in him to be independent. I have to instill values in him to don't be like everybody else. What we've learned is this school system is not teaching us things that we should know. It's teaching us how to be dependent on the government. That's exactly what they want. If you really think about it, what does all these things teach us other than to be completely dependent on the government? What is the government doing? What is politicians doing? They're giving more people more of our money and not actually using it for the things that we want. I want you to listen to what Michael Yernan said. This is an ex-Pfizer chief strategist. He said, if you sign up for digital ID, he said, here's the thing. See, this is how it goes together. He said, it's not an if, it's a when. He said, because what we're doing is we're building such a mentality in our nation that government's hand is in everything, therefore everybody will take this digital ID, hook, line, and sinker. He said, and then what's going to happen is all of a sudden they're going to control every aspect of your life. And what's coming is the ultimate tool, slavery. This is from the ex-Pfizer chief scientific officer who was part and saw what this did to people, who understands exactly what they're trying to do with control and this government involvement in your life. He's telling you exactly what they're planning on doing. We can try hard to work against that. That's why we tell you independence and being safe. And like, for instance, there was a guy that was part of he's an ex-NSA CIA officer, ex-intelligence officer. He said, China has already infiltrated our power, water, transport systems, and of course, taken over a lot of our utilities. He said, what we've done is we stopped making them here, buying them from overseas, them programming them and them making them what they want to be over our grids, to be over our utilities. He said, so what we've got to do is we've got to build independence and don't think that government has all the right answers. This is what we've done. Our government has pretty much destroyed even the things that we gave trust to them to do. So we go back to the food stamps. We go back now to the utilities. Everything they've done has actually caused us more harm. What that harm does is cause us for more dependency on them. Now, let's talk about the wins and what Trump is trying to do. And this is where, again, this is where we don't realize what a good leader this guy is. Just yesterday, I want you to listen to this. This came from a guy named Shanaka Aslam. Perfect journalistic ability to say exactly what Trump just did. He said the day America became an empire was just yesterday. He said while everybody's watching TikTok and wasting their time, the United States just executed the greatest economic coup in all human history. China controls 80% of rare earth processings, the neurons of every weapon system, smartphone, AI servers, and planet Earth. One element, neodymium. Without it, F-35s won't fly, Teslas won't move, data goes dark. Now, we just talked about the intelligence officer telling you that China owns all this stuff. Now, to President Trump. Trump threatened to destroy the $300 billion Chinese export with 100% tariffs. Beijing responded by threatening to choke out the global technology. Then something happened. Listen to what happened the last 3 days that Trump did. Malaysia, on the 24th, Malaysia signed a mineral pact, meaning we're going to get minerals from other parts of Asia. The 25th, Thailand signs a processing deal. So not only are we going to get the minerals, we're going to be able to process them and then get them from places that are not China. And then all of a sudden, China blinked the next day and realized if we don't sell to America, we're going to be bankrupt. So now they're starting to build a new framework of working with America to do better when it comes to not leveraging their position. This is hidden in the fine print. $13 billion Australian rare earth processing that we're going to get. Cambodia extraction rights that we're going to have. Japan's 2010 playbook, which cuts Chinese dependency by 30%, now deployed across $350 billion in American AI infrastructure, meaning America AI is starting to do its own infrastructure, starting to learn how to build its own energy, learning how to build its own technology to be independent. Did you know that Trump has got us where we're exporting oil again and being energy independent? We have not been. But we're starting to do that again with natural gas and oil, all because the Trump administration come back in and did what he promised to do the last time and actually did it. Biden stopped it, and we started buying oil again. Now we're being an exporter of that again. So not only are we learning how to be more independent on the new front, we're starting to go back to the old playbook to realize what makes us great in America. The numbers that will end this globalization. Listen, in 2018, when Trump was trying to negotiate this last time and Congress would let him, we were giving $758 billion to China. This year, or the end of this, when Trump started, was 578. It shows that $180 billion didn't vanish. We did not use it. We just started allocating it to nations that were willing to work for us and not try to leverage us. The Asian trade up, ASEAN, not Asian, but the Asian trade, that's a form of the groups of individual nations that are over there, is up 20%. Chinese rare earth market shares dropping because they're realizing that America now is building the leverage with their own nations in their own area. So that's a boss move by Trump. That's what he's doing right now. He's trying to choke out now China to say, look, we're going to either work together or we're going to use everybody else to do your job. Remember, sadly, we're the biggest importer of all nations. So without us, China will not make it. So it's bringing China to our playing field. You know what? China holds the most of our debt. You do realize that, right? That's why this has got to happen. Trump just converted the world's largest consumer market from the trade partner into a weapon. Every nation now faces a choice. Either work into the American markets, or you can go back and deal with the China supply chains. You will work with us first, and we will hold leverage, not China. The $20 billion soybean freeze, first since 2018, isn't retaliation. It is a demonstration that China can inflict pain, but America can make China go bankrupt. So we hold all the cards. Now listen to this, and this is where a lot of people are like, especially Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, Tucker Carlson, all of them are dogging Trump out for this $40 billion play in Argentina. Okay, think about this for a second. Think of it in terms of just money. And I'm a businessman, so say, for instance, you find this rare piece of land that's worth a lot of money, but the guy's so broke, he's got to just sell it for what he can. Think if you found a car that's like $10,000 undervalued. Think if you find anything that's undervalued and you're like, you know what, I can buy that. And I know it's going to go up in value. I bought a house one time, a real estate venture in East Tennessee. It was a steal of a deal. The guy had to get out of it. It was worth a whole lot more than I paid for it. And I was like, you know what, I can take this, I can buy this, make money on it, and then turn around and sell it and really make money on it. It was a good find, wasn't it? Now, it cost me some money up front, but ultimately what it did is it gave me basically triple my money back. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing in Argentina. Everybody's mad that we're giving money to Argentina. We're not giving $40 billion to Argentina. What we're doing is we're buying their currency at the lowest point it's ever been. So what we did is we took our money and gave it to Argentina to help their market. In return, they're giving us that currency at zero, at literally the lowest point. So if it goes up, now that we are giving money to them, it's going to make their markets go, which means their peso, their dollar, their value is going to go up. Automatically, as soon as we gave the $40 billion, our investment went up 10%. Now, I don't know about you, but if you do the numbers, if we make 10% on $40 billion, and that was when we first did it. Now, he just went back in office. Malay just went back in office just yesterday. They're saying that this could go up overwhelmingly and get back to normal numbers. So if all of a sudden we take $40 billion and turn it into $60 billion or $80 billion, that was what you call a good investment, wouldn't it be? See, that's the difference in Trump's leadership and the politicians. Politicians never really had to make decisions because they make tons of money and they don't really care about you too much. Trump was a businessman. He understood how to write checks, do payroll, and make sure that his businesses stay afloat. The deals that he's doing in Asia, the deals that he did with Argentina, that is the only way that we can get out of the problems we're in. Now, here's the bigger issue. While he's doing that, you know what we should have? We should have representatives and congressmen and Senate working to keep America safe and making sure that we're not wasting the dollars back at home. And make sure that our areas and countries and states and cities are safe. To make sure that we're implementing freedom and liberty. But instead, we're allowing for more Muslims to come here. We're allowing for the shutdown to keep on going and that for us to keep on wasting more money. We're allowing for all the immigrants and all these people that are here illegally to get all the benefits instead of Americans. So we're going to hold up Americans' benefits and give them to illegals. That's what your Congress and Senate are doing right now. While your president is actually winning for us, that's why people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie and even some of the rhinos and of course the left, that's why they don't like Trump. It's because he's actually winning while they're making millions off of you. Marjorie Taylor Greene, look at her worth now. It's not went up just because she owns a construction company. Look how much she's went up in value. Thomas Massie, one of his biggest funders, were someone who believes in free markets, meaning open borders. He doesn't like tariffs. You know who's voted against Trump more than anyone in the Senate? We talk about rhinos, we laugh about rhinos, but actually Rand Paul. Rand Paul's voted against the shutdown 12 different times. He's voted with the Democrats. So don't let these people lie to you. Don't let them be the snakes in the grass and act like they're working for you, because none of them are. They're all getting filthy rich while America is struggling with jobs and money. And our president is working all overseas, and we want to complain about Palestine, but then let the Christians die in Nigeria. Boy, we've got a lot of things wrong, don't we? If we want to make America truly great again, we need better leaders in Congress and Senate, and that's got to happen next election. Just because they're wearing an R behind their name does not mean them worthy. We need to primary these people that are worthless and find good leaders once again. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. It's heartbreaking to see what's happening in Nigeria, but to be honest with you, it's heartbreaking to see what's happening in our cities. And we're allowing this to keep on happening because everybody wants to put their head in the sand and think that Congress and Senate is going to take care of us. And they're doing everything but. Let me know your thoughts today. God bless.
Yeah, be free.